What's up, guys? I want to thank you for joining me here. Today we're going to go behind the scenes and look at the creative process behind my new single, Observer Effect, with Paranoah and The Worst Person. This particular song had a lot of interesting twists and turns and called for a completely different approach on not only my side, but the artist as well. So I'm really excited. Let's get right into it. So Observer Effect was the fourth track on my new producer album, Below Zero, which I was fully invested in from 2021 to 2024. For 4 years of my career, that was my main focus. And I actually didn't, like, the beat that I was using for Observer Effect, I didn't even know I was going to use that for anything on my album until end of 2023. I wanted to do some sort of back-to-back, somewhat maybe improvised mic pass joint on the album called Observer Effect, but I didn't know what beat to choose or what artists to send it to. And that kind of came later. And that beat is actually from 2019. It was on my catalog for years. It was called Dread. It went from artist to artist, but didn't really land anywhere until I'm like, fuck it, let me use this on my album. It already has this kind of back-to-back switch-up style in the beat anyways. It's like half cello, and then it switches up, and it's like these sinister key sounds. So I'm like, that's perfect. Back-to-back lyrics with two artists, back-to-back beat switch-ups with two instruments. Let's do it. You know, that's pretty much what I said. I sent it over to Paranoah and The Worst Person, and we set up a date to link up at the studio and put it all together in person. This was one of those records that you just can't do over email, sending files back and forth. You know, a traditional hip-hop song, if there was two artists, like, okay, you know, that's pretty normal. Maybe one artist sends a verse over and then the other one sends a verse or a hook over. It's pretty easy to piece together, even if they're not in the same location. There was like 20 passbacks, just 2 bars, 3 bars, 5 bars, 8 bars, 1 bar, back and forth with Paranoah and The Worst Person. So as you could probably imagine, that would have been a nightmare and just not practical to do it remotely. So, you know, we picked a day to all link up. I went and met up with Paranoah in Boston. We went back to the studio, met up with The Worst Person there, and just got to work. Off to Boston, let's go. Time to record this final track on the album. Observer Effect with Paranoah and The Worst Person. Let's go. This shit's gonna be crazy, man. Stay tuned. There for a jacket,
listen,
bro.
Check out the fit. Hold up. So we got the car hat because I'm from fucking Boston. All right. We got the Bill Cosby button up because I'm a bartender. And then underneath, just to top it all off, I'm a big fan. I remember, like, I used to love going to school. I love going to school so much that I got the Columbine drip. Natural selection like a vaginal infection.
Yeah. From a different cloth, drip like a wet jacket, jet lagging. I write letters like a test packet.
So we're all here in the studio. Paranoah and The Worst Person are sitting side by side, writing their lyrics, piecing everything together, you know, seeing what works and what doesn't. And every time there'd be some progress, they'd be like, yo, run that back. And they would test it from start to end and fix things that needed to be fixed until the entire song was written. I think that's what made this song so collaborative, was because they had to really be on the same page for their lyrics to work at all. And that approach carried over into the recording process and also the mixing process for me. You know, during the recording process, this wasn't just like, okay, artist number 1, jump in the booth, they do their 16 bars. Okay, artist number 2, they do their 16 bars and we're done. No, this was like Paranoah would jump in the booth, do like 4 bars. Okay, pass the headset to The Worst Person. He would do 4 bars. Paranoah does 1 bar. The Worst Person does 2 bars. And it was just that until the entire song was mapped out. So it's hard to forget a session like that when you're so used to a certain like roadmap, how the production of songs are supposed to go, and then it's just everything is against the grain. So that was definitely an unforgettable process, one of the most unique approaches I've ever had to take for any of my work.
Push weight like I fist fat chicks, catch us in a different town, the shit catfish. Wait, put an asterisk.
I think the most challenging part of the process for me was the mixing, right? Because in a traditional hip hop song, if there's 2 artists, it's like, okay, mix this artist, then just make sure they sit right together, and then make sure all of that sits right with the beat, and you're golden. There's really not much that can go wrong at that point. But the best way I can describe this was like trying to mix 20 micro verses. So at that point, it wasn't really about me getting all of Noah's vocals sitting right and then all of the worst person's vocals sitting right with each other. It was more of just how did these all sound in comparison to the previous section and the one coming after it. And as long as it all sounded right to me chronologically, like if I play it start to end and there's no volume jumps, everything sounds good in context, because nobody's going to be jumping around and listening to all the individual parts. They're going to play it from start to end. And ultimately we got that at the cost of like 12 trips to the car to do the car speaker test. If you're an engineer, you know this was a little more complicated than just a regular song though. So I wanted to make sure everything sat right with within the song, within the mix. And yeah, at the end of the day, it was a challenge, forced me to grow, and I'm really proud of the results.
I buck shots like Black Moon, I blast boom. A couple cadavers in trash bags in back rooms. I'm like the black fume inside of a glass spoon, so ask whom. My back covered in scabs and stab wounds.
But yeah, as far as the song goes, that's about everything I can say. In the next episode, we're going to get into the behind the scenes process of the artwork. If you've seen it, it's a picture of a leather book with an eye carved into the front of it, which I created from scratch specifically for this artwork. So we're going to get into that next. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. See you in the next episode. Peace.
Japanese baboon, Harambe sensei, the gun game explain. Force Morgan Webb to snore some meds. Hentai and chill, hentai. Animated when I made a statement. Inhaling fumes, Sailor Moon. Upskirting perv ho. I'm a disturbed person, internal murmuring, rehearsing my verse at your show. Show up the Peter with a dead weasel and fur coat. For sure, too. Damn secrets, can't see it from the crystal ball. I observe it all from the sky to watch it burn and fall. I eat the koozie through the new pajamas, doing the cucaracha, then I skate off, cruising in Punta Cana.